Hey everybody, it's Alex, and if you're watching this tutorial, we're going to be talking about putting together an independent movie poster. So for those of you who are in my graphic design fundamentals class, this would be the assignment that follows the Aftermath movie poster assignment in the Against the Clock books. So previously you had to put together a movie poster that the pieces were provided. This time you have to find the pieces that you need in order to put together your poster. So this is going to be something where it's the first portfolio builder for a lot of you that are in my fundamentals class. So just to get started here, I wanted to show you how we set up our workspace. So in the previous assignment, it was pretty easy. You just used the bricks image that was provided as a backdrop. In this case, what we'll do is we'll just start from scratch. Imagine you're making a blank canvas that you're going to populate with your own content. So we'll go up to File. I'm looking at, here we go. Yeah, File, New. Always make sure it says Photoshop, you're in the right one. File, New. And then we will go ahead and go over to Print, Letter. And, it's 8.5 by 11 here. This is the portraiture dimensions I would suggest. You could do the 8.75 by 11.25 if you want to add a little more bleed margin, as I have in the syllabus and also as you saw in the Aftermath assignment. But it's not necessarily required. If you want to do that, add a little more bleed margin, you can make it 8.75 by 11.25. Resolution, if you want to do 300, it's okay. I'm making it a little bit smaller, and since we have the resample option, when you're resizing, just to mention with resampling, you can always, size it up and down. It's going to add pixels to compensate, but 150 should be sufficient. It doesn't really even matter. We're not going to really even print these, but I'll go ahead and just do that. Do create. So we got 8.5 by 11 here. You can see this is my blank canvas. In layers, you should have just one blank background layer. Okay, so this is a good way to start, just to have this sort of blank poster, right, that you're going to add your content to. Then we'll go ahead and do a File, Save As, right? I'm going to save on your computer. I'm in Photoshop 2021 here, just by the way. And I'm going to go ahead, I made on the desktop independent movie poster. I think in the syllabus it said you can call it movie poster 2, since Aftermath was the first one. Whatever you want to call it, just make sure you have a folder. That's where we're going to store everything. And then you can title it whatever you want, independent _ movie poster. Okay, sure. PSD, Photoshop, save. Okay, so that was just getting started there. Okay, that's how to set up your workspace. You could have also done, some people have asked, can you do a landscape orientation? Sure, you can if you want to do that. I mean, those generally are less common when you're doing movie poster design, unless it's like for a specific type of box you're putting it on, or maybe it's on a banner or something, if it's some sort of poster that would go on the wall that way. But generally, especially like the thumbnails you'll see on Netflix and Hulu and so forth, it's going to be these, it's going to be portrait, right? It's going to be taller, height, and the width will be less than the height, okay? And by the way, a lot of people ask true dimensions. I mean, classically, it's like 24 by 36 inches. We're doing 8.5 by 11 here. The difference is negligible, but I'm just trying to keep things kind of straightforward and simple. Going off of the Aftermath assignment, but you could do 24 by 36 if you want, or the half of that. The 12 by 18, right? So it's really up to you if you want to go that way. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. So I have to find the images that I want. I'm in Google Images, right? So make sure you go to Google and then click on the Images tab. This is the image reservoir location I recommend. Again, as long as you're not monetizing, because you are borrowing images for your portfolio here. This is only for class purposes, only for a portfolio for applying for a job, not to monetize. So as long as it's just showing a sample of what you can do, and you're not using it in any other way than that, like for your portfolio, for applying for jobs, and again, for handing in assignments for a class, it should be fine. And it could be any topic you want. I mean, it could be any movie, an existing movie. You can make up a movie. Some people like to do a proposed sequel to something that doesn't exist. That's kind of fun. So whatever you want to do. A lot of people ask, how many images? Well, I mean, it really depends. The aftermath, if you count the tantamount and also the rated R logo, you may have had 8 or 9 images there. The bricks, you had the skyline, you had the cityscape. So it just depends. We just want to see the skill set we're really looking at here is, can you get a couple images from the internet? Can you bring them into Photoshop? Can you resize them, cut them, and arrange them? Don't just bring in one big image, obviously. We want a couple of images, so at least, 4 or 5, but it could be more. It could be 9, 10, 11, 12, really however many you need. But we do want to see you work with a couple of images, okay? That's sort of part of the rubric for this assignment. So what I like to do for this is I just make it simple, and I do like an example, a Batman poster, Batman the superhero, right? In my case, I'm going to try to find, I'm trying to think of what do I want for the backdrop here, and probably like a city, right? So I do my city at night is the one I always go to. Remember, we talked about the wording here. If you've been in some of my graphic design classes, the word choice, if you don't get what you want, you can always reword it. You can say New York at night or something else like that. And you also want to pay attention to resolution. There is even an option here under Tools in Google Images where you can limit it to large images. And that'll filter out anything that's a little too small, generally anything kind of, I don't know exactly the metric, but anything that's on the lower than 800 pixels either direction side will probably disappear. So I like this image right here. I'm clicking it. And make sure, by the way, you do what I just did. You click to make the big one come up, okay? A lot of people make the mistake. They save the small thumbnail. It's going to come out too small, too pixelated. You need to click on the image so a big one pops up. And I can see here 2,910 pixels by 1940. That's pretty decent sized. That'll be good for me. So I'll go ahead, especially for a background. Sometimes you can get away with smaller ones if it's just a little element on your page. But this is the background, so definitely want something that has a lot of pixels in it. It has a lot of good resolution here. I'm going to right click or control click and go down to Save Image As. Not save, well, you could do save to downloads, but not any of these other options. Save image as, okay? And then you just go right ahead and you just navigate. In my case, it's on it's on the desktop, my independent movie poster. And I go ahead and I click save. I have collected that image, okay? This is probably what you're going to do for a lot of the beginning of your assignment. Just collect images. So I got my background. I probably want an image of Batman himself. So I'm going to go ahead and find a Batman image. Something else we talk about is, you're learning how to cut right now. It is better if you can find something that has a little more contrast, even something like this, the green against the black. You could probably quick selection this. Some of the stuff we learned in the first assignment, the magic wand, will be easier to cut out. But again, if you want something with a more complicated background, I'm not saying you can't do that either, okay? So it's really up to you. In my case, I'm going to have Batman kind of standing on that little cliff there. So I probably want to see something where I see a little more of his full body. And again, this is completely for example's sake. So, it's not going to be fantastic here. You see, this one would almost be good. Yeah, there's a couple here that might work. Some of his, depending on where I put them. Yeah, look at this. This is a nice full body one. And it's against white. It's a little small, but you know what? I think that's okay because what my plan is to put them on that little bottom edge of my background. If I go to my independent movie poster here, you can take a look and you'll see, there it is. I'm going to put him kind of down here, kind of like he's standing on this area here, like this is the top of a building. Okay, so that's my idea. And again, this, I'm just doing this for argument's sake. So yeah, something like this or one of these. Any one of these where we can sort of see him dramatically standing there. This one might even be better. Yeah, it's a little higher resolution. Okay, something like this. So I'm going to right click, save image as. I like the fact that it's easy to cut out because it's got that white background. And I've saved him. Now, what else do I want? This is where you have to think a little bit about design and sort of image choice. We talked about imaging, your color scheme. You may still have to do some manipulation in Photoshop, but, the curating of the images, that's something you really have to see, see through ahead of time and think about. In my case, I'm going to have him battling a certain supervillain. So I'm going to have Bane. So I want to find a nice Bane image. There's, of course, the Tom Hardy Bane. But I'd like to find any Bane. It can even be one of the more comic book looking ones. I know I chose the movie Batman, so it sort of seems like it would go. But it's okay either way, as long as I find a Bane that I can kind of use. What my idea for him is he's going to be kind of faded anyway. So if it's a little bit more comic-y, that's okay. This one's kind of interesting. And it is decent enough sized for what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and save image as. You know, you can almost think about this one's going to be a little bit more like if it were one of those animated Batman movies or direct-to-streaming type of movies. Okay, that's sort of what I'm going for. Even though I know I took the, I believe the Christopher Nolan Batman as my image. Again, this is just for example's sake. So spend your time really looking for your images, okay? I also know that I'm going to want, you know, I could use the Tantamount or the Rated R from the previous assignment, but I want this to be a Warner Brothers. Okay, oops. It's a Warner Brothers production. So I'm going to find the Warner Brothers logo, and one that kind of cuts out very nicely would be cool. So something against white here, you know, you know, I don't know if it really matters if you go the classic or the new. I'll go ahead and save this because either way I can cut it and choose one of the two. Okay, so I got those two there. Probably add some text. Okay, let's leave it like that for now. You could probably get some more images. I know I'm going to at least have a text layer. I might even do another layer. I'm thinking of doing the bat signal and creating it with like a gradient effect. So I know I have at least 5 layers, okay? And maybe even 6 because this background layer I may use as well. So what I'm going to do is we know a couple ways to bring them in, right? File open, file place embedded. I'll go ahead and just do the file open method. You don't have to open them all at the same time, but in my case, I'd like to hold Command on a Mac, and I'm going to just choose all of the different pieces that I found. Actually, did I? Oh, I guess I do have 4 here. Yeah, so that's okay. So I may end up with 7 layers. Okay, so open. And then we'll go to the, so you see I have all these tabs, right? Because I opened all of them at the same time. Now what I want to do is with this one active, window arrange, and I'm going to do the 4 up because I have 4 windows. And now what this allows me to do is with the move tool, just like we did with the aftermath, one at a time, I can drag them down. Oh, I'm going the wrong direction. I want them to go over here, right? Yeah. So we want Batman. Whoops, sometimes you don't get it. You have to redo. There we go. Once you drag one, you can close it. We want the background. Doesn't matter. I'm not worried about the stacking order right now. And the Warner Brothers logo. Whoops. There we go. Sometimes you have to do it twice. You have to hold that click, really get it. And you can see here I have a bunch of layers here. Now I'm going to hide a couple things first of all. So let's hide these guys. I'm going to move this guy down, this background layer, so it's right above the background. Now you'll notice something here. When this came in, I'm not seeing the full image, right? It's only showing me a portion of it. Well, that's because the dimensions of my image are wide and my orientation of my canvas is tall, right? It's portraiture. So if I wanted to, I could decide, okay, I'm just going to use this portion of the city. You could do that. That's fine. But let's say you wanted to see more of the city. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do a Command T. I'm going to zoom out as well, Command minus. You could also go up to Edit Transform. And I'm going to hold the edge here and shrink down because I do want to see more of that city. And maybe I'll crop a little bit of it, but don't want it to rotate. But I don't want to lose too much of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there like that. Now, this is the problem, though. I have this area down in here and this area up here. What am I going to do about this? Well, this is where you can decide. Maybe you want to continue the sky a little bit. Maybe you want to put something down here. You could, obviously, we could stretch it, but it's going to distort the city. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go to the background layer. Okay. And I'm actually going to go to Edit Fill. Right, for this white background, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go to Color. Oops. And I'm going to eyedrop sample right on the edge of that image there. Whoops. Right on the edge of that image. So it should be like a very almost a black color, blackish, of not exactly black. And as you can see, not bad. It doesn't exactly blend, but it gets close there. What I could do now is I could just decide to paint with a low flow brush to blend these elements here. I could also, if I want to sort of save myself a little bit of trouble, maybe go to the rectangular marquee and make kind of a selection. Let me redo that. Maybe a little selection a little bit inside, right? Like that. And then I'm going to go, so see how I left a little bit of room up here, a little room down here? Because I'm going to cut off the top and bottom, but I'm going to make a feather effect. I'm going to select, modify feather. This is a little bit of trial and error. I'm not exactly sure how much to set it here, but let's go ahead and try 40 pixels. Whoops. And if I need more or less, I can always undo. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a mask. Not bad. The sky looks a little better. This down here didn't quite get as good as I like it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. And let me go ahead to select. So I did Command Z, right? Select Modify Feather. And I'm going to choose a little more dramatic. Let's go ahead to 80. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the mask. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I have to go inside a little more because it's still not quite giving me what I want here. So, you have to sometimes play with it a little bit. So I'm making, especially the bottom here, I'm choosing to have, more margin for my selection. Modify feather. I'm going to split the difference, go to maybe 60 here. And then, third time's a charm. Okay, not bad. You see what I was trying to do there, right? Not bad. Yeah. Looks like maybe there's a little line there I could soften more, but that's getting nitpicky. But see how it blends nicely now? It's really cool. You could even use the clone stamp to get later down the line and paint more of the sky, but I think this is okay. I like that rich sky up there, and I like this kind of dark down here. I think this kind of works well for me. So I'm going to leave it. It's fine. Command 0 to fill the page. Now let's bring in our Caped Crusader. Oh, actually, I didn't close this. Did I drag over Bane? Maybe I didn't drag over Bane. Oh, darn. Oh, you know why? I see. I did 4 up, and there was actually 5 images if you count the canvas. That's why. So let's go. That's fine. If that happens, just go ahead. Oh, no, it's the one that says Batista, right? It's Dave Batista, actually, here as Bane. So let's go ahead and drag. Okay, nice. So I get them all here. Okay, so let's bring Batman here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and make this a very easy cut. So I'm going to go to my friend, the magic wand, click in the white here, senses everything very nicely because I chose an image that was friendly to it. Go ahead and mask it. If this happens, that's fine. I expected that. Go ahead to the Properties panel. It's under Windows Properties if you don't know where it is, and click Invert. And now we're left with what we like here. And then I can even go to the Select and Mask option if I want to smooth the edge, do a tiny bit of feather, a little bit more contrast, just things to the edge to kind of blend it a little better. When I did that, it gave me this white box back here, by the way, and that's okay. Things like that may happen. I even have this little bit of residue down here. I'm going to select the mask. You saw this in the masking tutorial, the little bonus masking tutorial I provided. And I'm going to paint with black on the mask. And as long as I'm painting with black, it'll get rid of any of this stuff. Make sure, again, you're on the mask, not on the original Batman image. Then I would actually paint black on Batman himself, which I don't want to do. I may have hurt his foot there a little bit, but that's okay. He's going to be kind of blended in because he's going to be standing in the dark there. Even though the edge here, I'm not a huge fan of, I think it'll work okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click. Now it's not the mask. I want the front thumbnail selected because I'm going to resize him. And I'm going to do a Command T. Transform. Let's shrink him down. We're going to put him like he's just standing here on the top of this kind of building in the edge here. Maybe a little bigger than that. He's got to stand out. And now he doesn't look... Oh, I forgot to erase that little bit. That's okay. Go back to the mask icon. Get rid of some of this residue here. Okay, now what I'd like to do is blend them in a little bit more. Now, we talked about layer styles. If you double click on a layer, it's going to bring up the layer styles box. And here you can actually do some cool stuff like add drop shadow or inner shadow. I actually want to experiment with inner shadow on Batman because I think if I increase that, I'm going to help him blend a little bit more into the dark down there. Okay. And, you can play a little bit around with it, even the angle and so forth. I want to be on normal here. Play a little bit around with how you place it, and it should give you some cool results. So inner shadow, just a little bit to kind of help. Although he gets a little too shadowy there. Yeah, I think it's also important where you place it. Make sure it's I want a rich black there too. There we go. See that? See how now it looks like, oh, the light from the cities looks a little more believable, right? That he's standing there. Did that all with just inner shadow. You can do a little bit of bevel and emboss too if I want to add a little bit of backlighting to him. I have a friend who did a lot of the Wolverine posters, and he loves the bevel, for the claws and so forth. So, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with that if you wanted to do. Like, again, behind him, there might be a little bit of highlight happening. You're almost doing your backlighting if you think of cinematography. There's front lighting here, and then you're backlighting. You're artificially creating that in Photoshop. It's amazing what you can do. And again, I'm not going to play with it too much because we only have so much time here, but you might want to soften it. You want to make sure it's subtle. If it's too over the top, it's going to look unnatural. Okay, ooh, like that. But yeah, I just want him to have a little bit of backlight there. I feel like I had it better originally. Something like that. Just the lights of the city behind him. Yeah, a little bit of light just kissing the back of him there. Okay, something like that. Again, you can play with it a little more. It's a matter of measurements, really, how much you want to even work with the shadow and so forth. But that looks kind of nice. There's a little bit on his back there. Okay. Now, what I want to do is let's bring up Bane, the villain. So here he is. All right. Bane is going to be a part of my, thinking of the Gutenberg principle. I'm going to actually put him up in the top left corner, and our eye's going to go down diagonally to Batman. Although, I'm going to do a little transform, flip, horizontal, because the principle of convergence, I want the energy coming in. I want his back to the wall there. Okay. And basically what I want to do with him is have him be like a weird, like the bat signal is usually in the sky, but instead it's showing Bane. You know what I'm saying? Just having something kind of fun with that. So I'm going to go ahead and do almost like go here. Yeah. The elliptical, almost the shape you'd expect for the bat signal when it's in the sky, like an oval type of thing. Kind of like that. But instead, it's going to be scary because it's going to have Bane in it. So let's go select, modify, feather. Let's make it maybe, I don't know. Actually, 60 still good? Maybe a little less than that. Okay, 45. And then I'm going to mask it. Add a mask, the circle and the square, right? Look at that. Yeah. And by the way, you can disconnect the original image from the mask, and then you can actually move almost like in InDesign, move the image a little bit. See if I move them up a little bit. I think that kind of conceals the edge a little better. And then I can, again, hit the little chain icon so they move together now and move it down. See, that's nice. Now, it's not complete yet, though. The bat signal needs to kind of have like the light streak. You know what I'm talking about? Like Commissioner Gordon sends the light from the top of the rooftop. So I can find an image for that. But I'm thinking, no, let's make something. I like to just kind of have fun with it. So there could be like a strip of light coming somewhere, even from maybe over here. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm actually going to use the polygonal lasso. And I'm going to kind of create an effect here where it's like almost just a triangle effect, like right here to here to here. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead now, click the top here. I'm going to hit the new layer button because I'm going to put it on a new layer. And I still have this selection. And this new selection, what I want to do is fill it with a gradient, kind of to give that idea of the bright spotlight fading away. So I'm going to go to my gradient tool. And actually a black to a white would work really nicely. So I might just leave it. You could click here and choose other presets, but this would be kind of nice. So then just drag the line. And we get that, actually I want the opposite. So I'll drag up like this. There we go, because it gets lighter up here. Okay, so this is, what I have so far. It's not great. I'm going to want to soften it. Actually, you know what I was thinking before, to make this even easier on us, let's go ahead and even just with the selection still active, let's just go select modify. There, we're going to go back to my friend feather. This time I want a really big feather, like 100. Something very dramatic. Look, it almost doesn't look like the triangle anymore. That might be too much. We'll see. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah, it was a little too much. So let's go back. Select modify feather. Again, it's trial and error. Okay, we'll do something closer to the 50-ish, maybe even less. Let's go with 45. Okay. And then I'll do my little streak of light. Okay, there it is. Yeah, not bad, not bad. I think I might do some more after to modify it more, but that kind of gives you the idea there. So let me Command D to deselect. And then I'm also going to go ahead and turn the opacity down on this layer because it's got to be subtle. And the other thing I'll probably do here, as I was saying, there's one more. I'm going to stretch it a little bit, transform. Maybe I'll do a little bit of, do I want to do perspective? This might help a little bit if I can just stretch it a little bit. The idea is, again, it's just supposed to be a streak of light. If not perspective, maybe skew would be good. Those are kind of the two. Yeah, see, look at that. I can see skewing it. Bring this down a little bit here. So, you're getting the idea of what I'm doing, right? That looks a little better. Yeah. Oh, right. Wow. That's cool. You know what I mean? It's like the bat signal, but it's Bane. That terrible guy. And what I might even do is I can see there's sort of a hint of blue in it for Bane. Maybe I can color overlay and just do a little bit of blueness to it just to give it a little bit matching his... Actually, let me eyedrop sample. Yeah, something like that. Close to that. But then I don't want it to be quite as dramatic. So, yeah, I'll cool it down a little bit. A little bit more faded blue. There we go. So there is a bat signal, and it's Bane, and he is up to no good. Again, there's still more. I can tell there's more fine-tuning I want to do for this. So, I don't want to spend all day. But, if you want, you can even have it come off, from off the page, or if you want there to be a specific place. That might even be nice if it's a little narrower, Yeah, so the bat signal is up, but instead it's the Bane signal. So there we go. And now let's bring out our Warner Brothers logo. I'm going to probably move this to the top. Okay, the very top. I'm going to go with the classic logo here. So just go ahead, use the rectangular marquee. And then I'm just going to do a mask here. And then this is very easy. We're going to use the magic wand, right? Or quick selection. Click in here. So it selects around it. Now, of course, I could do the, I've already added a mask. So if you've already added a mask, oops, my wireless mouse is disconnected. Oh, there we go. If you add a mask already, rather than add a second mask, just click that mask. And then all you do is go up to Edit Fill. And you just fill it with more black. Black if you want to cut. White if you want to bring it back. There we go. Again, if it doesn't have like a clean edge, you could go ahead and, go to the refine edge. I see there's a little line at the bottom there, but that might even go off the page. So I'm not too worried about that. Command T or edit transform scale, and I'm going to scale it down. Put it in the corner here. I don't want it to detract too. Ooh, actually there is a little bit of an edge there, huh? Yeah. so I'll do some painting. It's fine. Paint some of that away there. You have to be careful though, because if you get close to the, you should shrink your brush down. And I'm being a little lazy about it, but that's what you should, you zoom in and shrink your brush down. Okay, I'm going to fade this a little bit, okay, because I don't want it to compete with what's here. Okay, it might even want to make it even smaller now that I think about it, because I'm going to put the title here. So, the great thing is you can keep, adjusting as you're working. Okay, I'm realizing things as I'm building this poster. I want this to be smaller and put it down here. So what I'm going to do now is put my title here. My title is going to be Batman versus Bane. I know, very original, right? Like I said, maybe it's one of those streaming animated Batman films you can sort of imagine, right? So in the previous assignment, we were provided the Aftermath title, right? In some cases, you can look up the Spider-Man logo or whatever. I could look up a Batman logo, but I think I want to use the T tool, the type tool. So with the T tool, once you choose it, you can choose a color up here, right? White, your size. You have all these beautiful fonts here. I'm on Arial Black right now. There's even subfamilies here. And there's even the paragraph panel, which is already up here if you want to use that. There's a lot of different controls there. And there's also the window character panel. So character and paragraph panels are here. And a lot of that kind of desktop publishing typography stuff is controlled there, like the kerning, if you need more kerning and leading and, all that kind of stuff. If you want to do an additional layer of bold, okay, or all caps or underlined and so forth. So it's window character. You can always get to panels by going to window. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and click here. Usually gives you this lorem ipsum thing, kind of a ipsum, I guess, lorem ipsum. It's sort of a placeholder. And I'm going to go and say Batman at all caps. Put my caps lock on. Ooh. Batman versus Bane. And I did want a sans serif font. So something like this would be okay. Batman versus Bane. Kind of plain right now, right? So you can go in now and you can, as long as you click inside here, you can still edit this text layer. See, it's right here. Now be careful. A lot of times people you use the move tool, right, to move it around. And I'm using my little smart guides to see where the center is. See that right there, the center. Sometimes what happens, actually, no, I'm sorry, that's not the center. It's sometimes it's aligning it to, that's the center. There you go. Sometimes it's trying to align it to an actual shape. If it goes all the way across, though, you'll see, like right there, that's the true center. But as I was saying, you go to the T tool. If you click too far from it, like right here, notice it makes a new text layer. That happens all the time. People, by mistake, make phantom text layers. So don't risk that happening. Yes, delete the layer. Just click inside anywhere. That's what you do. You see the cursor, right? It's underlined. Then highlight the text you want to edit. So I want an additional boldness to Batman. And maybe I want to do Arial Black. I kind of like it. I'll probably make it taller. The verses, maybe I'll keep it on Myriad Pro because I want that to not stand out as much. Versus Bane. Now, Bane I want to be maybe it's reflecting Bane, like it's more broken or something. So I'm looking at something like that where it's just weird. And Bane, he's like graffiti or something, So you find the font that works for you. I'm going to bold it too. Why not? And you'll see I may have to recenter it and so forth. So Batman versus Bane. I'm not done yet, though. I want to do some, we talked about continuity of color. There's quite a bit of continuity of color here. I want Batman to be in white and Bane. Wait, do I want Batman in white? That's interesting. I have to think about that. Maybe I want Batman in yellow or gold for that kind of like his utility belt, or that kind of classic I was going to say Kevin Costner. Michael Keaton is Michael Keaton Batman, yeah. Although Kevin Costner does end up in a DC movie, right? As the father of Superman and Man of Steel. Earth Father. Okay, so there's Batman. And then I'm going to highlight Bane. And Bane, I'm going to give him sort of this kind of blue, sort of the blue-green sort of end of things where he is. He's kind of this colder person. So I want Bane to have this kind of villainous blue. Okay. And the verses I'll keep, I don't know if I want white though. It's sort of good to make it sort of an off-white. White is really bright, all things considered. So sometimes it's good to make it like a slight gray, not fully white. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to go to my layer styles. Again, don't double click on the name because that would rename the layer, right? Or rename the layer like here. You double click over here to get to that layer style panel, not where the name is. And I'm going to put in, I think, a little bit of outer glow. So you have to check it. And then you also have to click on the word outer glow. Remember, you always have to click on the word to bring up the controls, the sliders. I'm going to give it a little bit of maybe this. Do I want this blue? This is where I'm sort of playing. I'm sampling the color there. And I'm going to see how this looks. Yeah, it looks kind of cool. That it's got that sort of night kind of glow that I wanted. Yeah. Kind of like that, right? It's a little, something about Bane I'm not liking though. The blue is not agreeing with it quite as much. So I think the blue might have been a little too dramatic. So I'm going to go to the T tool and change the color here. Not quite that type of blue. Yeah, more like this blue. I'm going to sample just that blue. The same, similar blue to its glow. It looks a little bit better there. Okay. And, not bad. I mean, I get all the ingredients here if I want. Sometimes people like to add a tagline, coming summer 2021, or, you could say like the fight of a lifetime. I don't know. It's like Jaws. Don't go in the water, or Alien. No one in space. No one can hear you scream. You could do something like that. I could put it down here. I could even put it at the top there. Oh, my mouse is going to go out for a second here. That's okay. But you think about what you want to do for your tagline. If you want something like that, maybe you want to list the actors, the actors you want to participate. I think I'll put a little something up here and just say, what would it be? Fight. The showdown. The ultimate showdown. Just thinking of cheesy things in my head. And my color is black right now. That's why I'm not seeing it. But that's okay. I'm going to go and once again choose kind of a not quite gray. You could even sample this gray if you wanted to. Shrink it down a little bit. Did you know you can actually drag like this left and right to shrink rather than just choose a size? Look, hover over it, drag left and right. I kind of like that because I can kind of in real time see what it looks like. Okay, the ultimate showdown. Lorem ipsum. Get rid of lorem ipsum. Okay. The ultimate showdown. Yes, a little cheesy. I think also I'd want to center them. So let's go ahead and center it. So, that would be under, up here, yeah, centered alignment. But it's something like that. We got some nice Gutenberg, though, from left to down. You primarily go here. You might see him. Then you see the title. Then your eye might also catch this later, and that's fine. Now, if I wanted, I could put down here rated R, rated PG-13, or M for or TV-14, whatever I'm considering this. It does feel a little empty in some ways. Maybe I'd even put the billing boards. Sometimes those are a nice touch if you wanted to go back to... remember, you can always go back to Google Images. Who says you can't? And just find some more. So I'm going to do billing boards. I'm still in caps here. And just find something, even if it doesn't sort of make sense. I mean, no one's going to really read the fine print. There are even some billing board generators, so there's some cool ones here. I don't know. Find one that's just, whatever. I don't really like that top text though. Trying to find the one I like. Okay. How about this? Then we get Warner Brothers. We got Warner Brothers here, and also Legendary. little icon. Again, you could even cut those out though. It's not a big deal if it's, because I already have that icon. So I'll save it. And this case, I'm going to do a file, and I'm actually going to do a place embedded. I'm going to do it the other way of bringing something in. Oh, I did this tutorial with the wireless mouse, and I'm sort of regretting it because it just disconnects from the battery very easily. Okay, so here we go. Place. There we go. It shouldn't really matter if I bring it to the bottom. It's really dark there. I'm going to do a Command T to shrink it down. Okay. Kind of center it right here. It's not exactly blending perfectly. There are these blend modes here, and you can just try and see, hey, do any of these make it work? If not, I can always cut it out, sort of some of the traditional ways. But you might find something like screen, for instance, which kind of works. You see what I'm saying? And I might want to go in and mask it. And like I was saying, I don't want to repeat the Warner Brothers logo. So maybe I'll brackets to shrink that down, paint with black, and just kind of paint away anything I don't want. Maybe I don't want the legendary icon either. You can kind of come in and just make adjustments. Oh, that looks weird now, doesn't it? All right, I'll leave that for argument's sake. So you can put something like that at the bottom. You could put the website. You could put, like I said, coming summer 2021. This is really all we're asking you to do. Be creative and make a poster. Looking at Batman now, I almost feel like he got too dark. He doesn't quite stand out as much. So, there's more you can still do to keep editing it and making more adjustments to help make your work stand out. If there's something you can do, it's going to look terrible. Maybe I would reduce or I would, actually, what I would do? I might increase the bevel just to make him stand out a little bit more, because that's where I'm not kind of seeing him, and I want to see a little bit more of him so it stands out. So something like that. Although I don't love that. So this is what you do at the end. It's the fine tuning. And of course, if you're in my class, you'll get that feedback Friday where you get a chance to, get feedback from peers. And, at the end of the day, don't kill yourself. Get something to put together. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, a little bit around the head, I might adjust. Get something like this, just a couple layers. It's creative. It shows you now how to use the, cutting and resizing the transform panel. That's what sort of thing. When you're done, we'll do a file save. Hang on to the Photoshop version. That's okay. Actually, I should have been saving all along. Just do a Command S or file save just in case your computer crashes or something goes wrong. I wasn't saving, but it's good to incrementally save. But at the very end, then you can do another save as. And for handing them to me, you can either do a TIFF. I would make sure it's a flattened TIFF. Or you could do a JPEG. Honestly, in digital form, either one will be fine for the purposes of the class. Baseline, standard is fine. I mean, you can do baseline optimized, I guess. Progressive has to do with, the idea of it drawing out progressively. It's not really a big deal. Okay, so let's go to, it's desktop, right? Yeah. So here's my final poster, looking at it in preview. All right. Not too bad for, whatever that was, 30, 40 minutes of work. There's more I could do, but it's certainly something like this would be great to hand in, and it would show you're using the skill sets and working with a couple of different layers. So, be creative, whatever you want the movie poster to be. And again, it could even be a TV show. It could even be a television series. They have posters. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you next time. Thanks.